Hello everybody, I've been invited again to do Theo's Makers Challenge this year in a very short time, and I've accepted, and so I'm headed off to the shop literally tomorrow morning bright and early, and we will see what I get up to. I've been sketching since I got invited to do it and have a bunch of ideas going on, and yeah, so we'll see you there. Springtime in the yard, got blossoms on the trees, and I went over to my rock collection. My outside supply. These are bigger, rougher rocks, and the whole yard is, but these are all the what you'd call good or gemmy grade. Look through them all, nothing satisfactory so far. I might come back. All kinds of stuff here. And I realized that I had a big old piece of basically serpentine. I have this big old piece of what I think is bowenite. It's a type of serpentinite. And if you look really close, it looks like it's about as pure as the stuff that I made the fish hooks out of. It's too big to go through my saw, of course. We're going to try and split it on this natural fault line it has through it, which is just some other sort of material, and then maybe we can get a piece out of here, because I want to make something that's pretty long is one of my ideas that I have. So that's what we're going to try and do. I'm going to try and split that. I'm going to use this old wood chisel, which is already all beat up, this, and these. Okay, well that was a fail. I don't think I had the camera turned on anyways, but I was able to knock off these smaller pieces. I was not able to split that even just by going full blows with the hammer, but got a tiny piece off, and this is the grade of material that we were looking for. So, if I can get maybe 2 long cuts, and just look how pure this big center piece is. That's why it's so unbreakable. But if I can get, anyhow, I'm going to try and slice this, put some relief cuts in it basically, and snap out some big pieces maybe. Is the next trick. That is all one slab there. I really want to make it out of this material. So this is how big my saw is. These are the pieces that we got off it. But really good looking stuff so far. You can see just in the breaks there how crystalline it is. So it's not transparent, but it is translucent. Oh, it's gonna be nice green stuff. So I'm gonna try and get the biggest slab that I can out of this rock somehow. Maybe out of that piece. That's gonna be a job for the saw. So I hunt this stuff. It's a type of serpentinite, and when I made the hooks out of a smaller piece, I was keyed into the fact that it was called bowenite, which is not listed in any of the chapters in any of my books where it talks about serpentine. But as I looked it up, I was happy for the information, and it's one of its nicknames is New Jade. It comes from the branch of the serpentine family, the leafy antigorite. So a little bit of research that I did on it is that it's a cousin of Jade, of nephrite jade, which is composed of actinolite and tremolite, and that's in the branch of the family that's the more fibrous version of stuff, which is chrysotile, if I'm saying that correctly. And then this is bowenite, which is leafy antigerite. It's the flaky, more leafier versions of serpentine, if that makes any sense. So basically the same mixes of minerals and stuff coming together, and it's, you know, literally carved and used as a new jade. Then when I found out what it was and I looked it up, it said that's one of its names is Maori greenstone. So on the other side of the circle of fire, they're carving this also. So that's some of the cool parts that I found out about it. The project that I have in mind, I'm trying to get a fairly big slab so that I can carve something out of it that I've been wanting to carve for this project. So, you know, when you pick up a large piece of stone, it hasn't been rendered down by the river, so there are all kinds of fractures running through it, and that was one of my fears. But I am blown away by the purity of this and the beauty of this. Okay, so that's the material that I'm trying to get a slab out of. You just really never know until, even if you have a good guess and you're looking at the right stuff, you never know till you get it home and slice it up how it's going to look. Okay, let's go back out to the saw. So these are all the different pieces that I was able to get out of about half of that large boulder. But this is what it looks like on the outside for me too. I mean, you're in a boulder field of thousands of boulders of different shades of green and gray and serpentines and volcanic andesites and rhyolites, and it's just very surprising, you know. So you can go from, this has a little bit of mineral oil put on it, you can see these small areas, so that's what you'd be looking for on the larger stone. Otherwise you can't see into it, it's just gonna look like a large serpentine boulder. Thin. Some of these I went fancifully thin because, well, I wasn't sure what I was going to make out of them all, and I was trying to get the biggest pieces that I could out of here without large slab breaks in them and stuff like that, natural cracks that they develop. So this is what we're able to get. Some of these are very pure. None of my slabs are perfectly square because I'm doing them by hand. I don't have fences up or get wrapped into a slide or anything. And yeah, looking at all the different possibilities, suddenly my original idea was a spear or a knife. Obviously not a functional knife, not even as sharp as a like obsidian knife or anything. but still like a carved jade knife, like a ceremonial knife, you know, like a representation of a knife, more of an art piece. So, but then I'm sitting here looking and I'm like, we can do all kinds of things. Butterfly, dragonfly, flower, star. Kind of going through it and going through it. It's been sitting here on the desk for another day now. What I did decide that I'm going to try and do, so I took my longest piece here. I'm still going to go after the blade project. So I looked at the cracks and the crevices in this piece and came up with that for a basic blade design. It's about a slab about that thick to start with. And no, I won't have the handle, and no, it doesn't have the longest shank coming back into where the handle would be. But what I am going to do, because it's an art piece anyways, is I found these two pieces that I really like. They're nice and pure. And this is just going to be an attempt. If this fails, I'm going to move on to one of these other projects. But basically, there's the handle I drew on there. This would be the idea. This was the overall shape that I saw originally, made out of a nephrite material from somewhere in the Far East, with like a swirled cloud billow pattern at the end. And what I realized that I could do, at first I gave up the spear. I wanted to do like a big lance tip or something. I obviously didn't get material out of it that was wide enough. Probably need a bigger saw for that, and the luck of a pure stone. But what I realized that we could do is that we could joint this knife together. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to go about halfway down in each of these outers and set it to where this blade is trapped in the middle, and cut this into the handle piece and then this into the blade piece is the idea, and we should end up with our little knife. That's wiggling around in my hand, but you get the idea. It'll probably actually be set about that far down. So that'll be the overall of it. And then some engraving done on it, and should be a beautiful see-through blade. So, on with it. Now we do the making. So just need to finish drawing that out, cut it, transfer it onto its duplicate piece. This is actually the same stone. They are butterflied. So it will show up any patterns, and this should be on both sides, which could look cool. Just starting thick, so when we do all the beveling and stuff, the center will be darker still, and the outside edge will be more translucent. Okay, that's what I'm going to make. This is the part that I wanted to try and be super accurate with, so I went ahead and drew it all out for myself, make sure that I didn't get anything backwards when I was in the actual cutting moment of it. Sometimes when you walk up to a saw, even after you've laid everything out for yourself, it can get turned around in your hand or in your mind. And since we have limited resources on this one, just going through the extra steps to make sure I can just follow my own dotted lines. So, wow, there it is. Okay, it didn't break so far, knock on wood, but that's some of the moments where it could have gone that way. And I think you're starting to see my idea, and the jointing now, the big rough out of that is finished, so I am stoked. It's just all about shaping the blade. I'm going to do a lot of that with hand files. So I'll be using hand files in water. That's just a piece of carpet I put in a little Pyrex dish. I fill it up. You'll see that coming up. And these are just nice starts to the whole thing. Really happy to be able to get that out of the whole deal. And you can see how the jointing is going to work on this. And for an art piece, a non-functional knife, that will actually end up pretty solid. Because now we're going to go back down and file all of these little joints to where they are ultra smooth. It's not a good example of how ultra smooth there. And these pieces absolutely lay on each other. That'll be part of the strength of the whole thing. The little natural lip that's left over from it being 2 plies as opposed to 1 is kind of fun. And yeah, those nubs will be taken off, but you know, the rule you can't, well, it's harder to put back on than take off, so. But yeah, so that'll be the next part, is sanding down these and getting ready for the gluing, and then super strong glue. And then it is about shaping all of these. And yeah, I wanted to do the swirl in the end, contour the knife. We shall see. to the gluing part. That's what we're gonna do. It's time to glue. So we're gonna use our super strong. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, it feels good to be doing this. We're gonna do it to both sides. Gonna go ahead and blow out a dollar store brush here. And we have time, so we can go ahead and afford to spread this out all the way. Try to do a good job at getting the joints nice and tight, so this is where it will pay off. I'm actually going to put a little bit more on there. More is always better with messy stuff. I like using the brush. I'm enjoying using the brush because it feels like I'm getting it down into the pores real good. Asking the glue to stick for us. And then you go just almost out to the edge. And it'll expand the rest of the way for us. There'll be some expansion. We're going to use little clamps to hold it shut so it doesn't puff up on us. And it should expand out of the little fine cracks. It will require sanding. And that is okay, because this is all going to require some sanding. I see it soaking down into this stone. And that's a good thing. It's kind of what we want to have happen. Let this all bond and become one creature. This side I'm just going to do a real light coating because I don't want too much to puff out. I just want it to be contacted and glued on both sides independently, and then we'll join that glue. Real thin. Okay, hurry in a little bit, same concept here. Not hurrying because of the glue, but the overall wanting to get this together before anything forms a fine film or anything. I'm going to do the back of that one. Coating both sides of all these surfaces allows it to be independently glued, so you know all of this product is going into this stone and has coated all the surfaces, and then we put it together. Here's the moment. Try not to put my fingers in this because I don't want to touch the outside. Just be more work and more stuff to remove. Whole bunch of sliding around. Be expected because we have all this extra product. It's mostly just about getting all these pieces exactly where I want them. So I'm using a little clamp there that'll help us make the final decisions on it all. I just want to make sure that we're pushed forward, push forward. Might use another little brush here to take the extra away. Push that in there, make sure that we have the right angle. Real gentle little tightening. little fine tip file here. The grit actually goes down to the tip, so it's good for etching. I'm doing my pattern into the knife, which I'm going to then follow with the Dremel. So ending up at the end, funnily enough, a lot like the original sketches that I drew as ideas when I didn't even know which project I was going to choose. So out to the Dremel in the sunshine some more, and try and develop this pattern out of it and see how deep we're going to go with everything. There's obviously the higher plane, this a little bit lower, and then the rounding and shaping of the whole thing, and then the buffing, sanding, polishing. Oh, I hope I get this done in time. Okay, so we're done with the water process. This is how it has come out so far, again with mineral oil put on it. And I have a lot of fine sanding, so that was the shaping. And next will come the sanding. And I'm going to work mostly on the handle, because when I do the blade and I do the final shaping of the blade, it'll get thinner and more delicate. So I don't want to make it too much of a risk factor. Until then, we'll go ahead and keep it thick and in theory stronger, and try and shape this out the rest of the way with sandpaper and get it fine sanded and ready for polishing. Almost there. Okay, hour, two, maybe more later, and the shaping, the final shaping with the sanding, the final sanding is done. So we'll be moving on to the finest sandpaper and then the buffing. But yeah, super excited to get it to this point. Just taking out all the little dings and dangs, and sharpening all the little corners and rounding things so that they are curved and swirled. And let me go ahead and get some mineral oil on this. So close. Okay, there, I think that looks better. Definitely lets me see more of the shine on it so I can see any flaws. Just a whole lot of balancing out, going back and forth over the blade and making sure that it's all even and sharp and balanced. Just like a real knife, getting the curves in there that I wanted. Going over all of the things that I chose to do that were semi-intricate. Yeah, that needed to be detailed out. And then the super fine sandpaper will come next, and then the buffing, which is actually super finer sanding. So, we are almost there. Okay. Stay tuned. So we're going to head out now to my buffing wheel. Now this is the tricky part because we've made the blade pretty thin. Everything's had to be reduced to its final form. And I'm using, turn of the last century, 1900s wheel grinder that I have a buffing wheel attached to. Now it's quality. These old machines, they have a lot of bearings in their turnings so that they tend to not get bent and not wobble. It's nice and heavy, that's why I use it. My dad fixed it up and refurbished it and got it working for me and gave it to me years ago, and it is a machine that doesn't die. So anyways, you can see me here. I've just made a compound out of a polishing powder that you would use in your tumbler. That's what I use. That's what I'm using so far to polish. It works good. So I make a slurry, and basically I just put the powder in dry, then add in water like I was making pancakes till it's the correct thickness that I want. Then I apply that to the buffing wheel, and then I try not to let this big old beast rip this knife out of my hands, because if it catches and pulls it, then it could break here. So, and trying not to heat it up too much when you're buffing on these type of nephrites and serpentines. I've noticed that you can definitely change them, you can blister them, you can heat them up too much, and you don't want to do that. So it's going to be a little bit of a process. We'll fast forward it, and I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. We are done. Dun, dun, dun. This would be cool to show it with the rock that it was made out of. So the before and the afters. And then I think we will actually take this out into the sunshine, because this is just lamplight inside. But what this allows us to do is turn off the lamps. Let me show you my favorite part about this creature. So that was really the reason why I wanted to use this stone, was because of the way that it looks when the light is passing through it. And I think it's just gorgeous. It is the equivalent to Jade. And these particular pieces, I think, in my opinion, have a equal quality in color and translucence. But yeah, there it is. Sorry for the bright light. And parts of the handle in sunlight, the little, it's hard to get it to capture it with this backlighting. Yeah, just take some different angles of beauty shots here, because it's really always hard to tell in a viewfinder how it's going to look. And you know, with your own eyes is always better, of course. So all I can do is try to capture it as best as I can. And I think that this light is super strong, so it's a good start. We can go out and look at it in natural sunlight. But it's just absolutely... Ugh. Been waiting and waiting and waiting for that myself, for sure. The handle almost is translucent. There's the glow of it, you know. You could see the light coming through, and then on all these skinniest parts here, of course you can. There's the handle. Okay, let's go look at this in some natural light and some sunshine, because it's a creature of a million different faces, you know. This is what it looks like in totally unnatural light, backlit. I think it's gorgeous. We'll go look at it in all of its other forms. If I haven't said it already, thank you, Theo, for inviting me and holding my spot open. He sent me probably 3, maybe 4 different emails when I'd finally found them, all the way up to a point where he was like, you gotta let me know soon. And yeah, so he held it open for me as long as he could, and I made it in by the hair on my chinny chin, and been working on it since. Excited to be part of it. It's really kind of nostalgic at this point to see all of your faces, all the other creators and everything everybody's making. Also, be sure to pay attention and keep following the Makers Challenge, because it keeps going. There have been 2 different creators each day for the last 3 days so far, this being the 3rd day. Started on Sunday. Monday, this is Tuesday, and then there will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 2 different creators from around the world each day, making something in the Finder Maker world. So be sure to check out all of their channels. That's the other thing that we can all thank Theo for on this, is that it's a great networking thing for all of the channels to get exposure to each other's audiences. It's a great community builder. And it's just a good thing to do for me in the Western Hemisphere, Northwestern here. It's the beginning of spring, so it's just a really nice start and something to do with all of the materials that we've been hoarding up. So just thank you again. Thank you all for watching this video. Please continue to follow the Makers Challenge throughout the rest of the week. And this is the third one. So there are several years now of Makers Challenges, and I invite you to go back and check out all of the different projects that have happened in it. It's been total fun. This has been a total blast. Totally enjoyed doing it. So I hope you all enjoyed this little experiment, this little project, this little challenge. Tried to challenge myself. This is about the max of what I can do with my tools and my skills that I have built up right now. And I think that the material also helped me a lot. So we'll see you next time on the quest for details.